Yo, it's Chiedu Oraka speaking, and you are now watching the Council Estate Confidence podcast. I am here with the Paddingtons, one of Hull's greatest exports, top 40 hits, top 50 hits, and I'm here to learn about their Council Estate experience. Hope you enjoy. Wow.
Lockdown, room 73. Tell them these same faces. Let's go. Listen, yeah.
Now then, lads. How we doing? Welcome to room 73. We call this.
Right.
This is where the magic happens.
The magic.
We made our my last EP coming out on Friday. I'll give it a quick plug. Council Estate Confidence.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Friday.
We made that in here. We made everything in here, to be fair. Everything goes on in here. We've made our own booth. This is just where the magic happens. But first of all, lads, I just want to say thank you for blessing us with your presence.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thanks for having us.
When Grant told me this last week, I was like, he was like, do you want to go do this? I was like, yes, 100%. Norfolk Estate all the way, mate.
Thank you. HU6 massive.
HU6.
We've got some HU6 legends in the building. We've got the Dobbs brothers, Paddingtons. Do you know what I mean? Some real G's in the building. So lads, I'm just going to go straight in and just say, tell me about your upbringing. Where did you grow up? What was it like?
Definitely been the oldest, yeah. Norfolk Estate. So our mum and dad, they were off Norfolk Estate.
Yeah.
So the Endike Lane. So
Yeah.
So my mum lived on Endike Lane opposite where they used to get the bread cakes on.
Next to the church.
Next to the church.
Directly next to the
My dad
church,
used
yeah.
to live about 5 houses the other way.
Oh yeah, because you're related to Elkie Dobson, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, but not a Dobbs though.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I used to always get. Yeah. Anyway, get into
So
that.
where
Get into
Dobbs
that.
is,
Yeah.
and then my mum, so my dad, Les Dobbs,
Yeah.
lived on further down Endike Lane, and my mum, Linda Sanderson, lives opposite, next to the church.
Yeah.
And they're the Sandersons, blooming hell, and we've got, I think my mum's one of 12,
Wow.
so we've got about 85 cousins.
It was
I'm not lying.
it was that typical thing of our nana and granddad. They were off Ezel Road.
Yeah.
And when Ezel Road sort of lost its way, they all moved on to Norfolk.
Yeah.
And sort of that's where my mum. I mean, mum was born on Ezel Road, but then sort of cut her teeth on HU6 on Endike Lane, and that's where we've sort of moved on from there.
Yeah, but the Sandersons were. So my mum's older than my dad, but my dad's the oldest in his family. So my mum's family are just some of my aunties have passed away now, but
Yeah.
I mean big old family.
Yeah.
And big known family on the estate.
Yeah.
It's a funny one to have aunties. I've got aunties older than our grandma on the other side.
Yeah.
Things like that. So it was a bit kind of a strange thing like that to get.
So some of our cousins were as old as my dad.
Yeah.
It's one of them, Joe.
Yeah, one of them. Yeah.
I mean,
Norfolk
yeah.
to a T. To a T.
Yeah, proper Norfolk. Proper Norfolk to a T.
But yes, they moved on to Norfolk and then they sort of grew up and then we
did our first 6 years on Branzome.
yeah.
All right.
I mean,
Went to the army and that, and came back, and then I was born 82 and lived. Do you know the Masonettes? You heard of the Masonettes on Branzome?
No, I ain't heard.
Well, they knocked them down because it was that rough.
All right, yeah.
There was a documentary about it in the 80s about how bad it was.
Yeah.
And then when
not because our family are out.
No, not. I don't think so. No. But when I was about 6, 7 or 8, we moved back to the motherland, and we 6th Ave.
Yeah.
So went to Fifth Ave Primary School.
Yeah.
You were a couple of years younger than me. And it was ace, Norfolk, just raving around, you know what I mean? In and out of Aderham Circle.
Yeah.
Just bombing around. A couple of my best mates for life I still chat to. Going to, like I said, Fifth Ave Primary School, St Mike's Youth Club, Eclipse Dungarees. So
the Hut Youth Club as well.
Yeah.
On the back of Fifth.
Yeah, man, that's one of my first memories of Norfolk.
So that's one of my. Do you know, we were talking about the sort of confidence and of what comes out of a council estate.
Yeah.
Or the people that ran that place.
Yeah.
Bernie.
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 Was it Francois?
Yeah, fucking hell, good
Yeah,
memory.
No, I mean, as I said, I've been pulling these memories.
Wowzers, man! You are bringing back some memories now.
Them people, they were the reason why we got the confidence that we had to do what we did. You know, the reason we decided we wanted to do some music. They said, "Come down, bring the drums, bring the guitar, come and play for us."
So was you doing music at that youth club?
We played. We did a gig. We did a couple of gigs at youth club.
We did. We're fast forwarding a little bit there, but I mean,
fast forwarding.
Yeah, we did it. We did do a gig there, and it was the first gig.
Not as the
Not as a
Paddingtons.
Paddington.
No. But, as a sort of
The Cavern was called.
I thought it was called Blue Skin, weren't we?
Yeah, that was later
Not
on.
Blue Skin. Blue Swan.
Blue Swan Rizzlers, yeah.
So you went to Fifth Ave?
Yeah.
And then what school did you go to after that?
Well, I went to Trinity House.
Okay.
So I was all my mates went to Cooper.
Yeah.
And I remember we'd been at Fifth Ave in Mrs. Devine's class in year 6, and then this guy came in and went, "Just going to tell you about the school called Trinity House."
Yeah.
And the person I am now would be like, well, why would I go to a military naval school?
Yeah.
But as an impressionable 11-year-old kid, I went, "Oh, that sounds ace."
Yeah.
I went, you know what I mean? And I went there, and which got me off the estate in the sense where I met a lot of kids from all, because Trinity House people from all over, so I used to know kids.
That's the same with me when I went to St Mary's.
Exactly. You meet people from all over the city.
Yeah.
Which is it's enriching. It's good. But I remember when I was in year 9, you didn't have a choice. My dad just sent you.
I didn't have a choice.
I chose. He was made to go.
Yeah.
So you went to Trinity in year 9?
Yeah, no. So the reason why Lloyd went to Trinity House was it was the first intake of year 7s. Before that, it was year 9s and upwards.
Okay, all right,
The reason why somebody came into the school was because they'd started a year 7 sort of thing.
Okay.
And that's where you got sort of took into it.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
But yeah, so Lloyd had been there for a couple of years, and I wanted to carry on with my mates and go to Cooper.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to lie. I'm glad that I did go there. And
I'm glad that I went to St Mary's. Yeah. I'm glad I didn't go to
the irony of the fact that Trinity House is literally about 50 yards behind us.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, used to be.
Well, it used to be until they knocked it down. But,
so was home life good? Like,
yeah.
But obviously both parents. Yeah. You got siblings?
I've got a sister.
Yeah.
I mean, without going into it too much, we didn't know then, but we have got a sister.
Yeah.
And we love Michaela, and brilliant. But at the time, it was just me and our kid. You know what I mean?
And what was the dynamics like in the household? Like 2 brothers.
Great.
Like, did you used to fight each other? Obviously, not
every now and again.
Yeah.
But it took. I mean. So I remember once.
why do you have to go into details? Say, yeah, we did.
No, but it's a good story. It's a good story. So I'm obviously the older one, and then I remember being in the front garden once playing football with Reece Taylor and that, and for whatever reason, then digging him like that, and he runs off crying, and he comes back with a 2x4 bit of wood and braces his shit out my head.
No, and a bucket.
That was the second time.
The second time. Yeah.
But we've never fought.
No,
even if we fight now, like when I say fight, argue, like in a rehearsal room, or like back in the day when we was in the Paddingtons, where it was quite tense and stuff, we'd argue, and it'd be like, I'd call him a CUNT or whatever, and he'd go, but the next day, and swear down, it's always been the same.
Oh, never.
One of us will ring each other up going, I'm so proud of that, I'm sorry. We're close, me and our kid.
And where do you think you learnt that from? That dynamic of just being quick to apologise and
I don't know.
being considerate for each other's feelings and stuff like that. Because as you know, Norfolk, it's a tough place.
It can be quite ruthless, can't it?
It's quite ruthless, and a lot of siblings. Like I grew up with my sister, but when I used to like out with the boys and that, and say like their little brother was out, or they'd like want to always belittle the little brother, or it was always quite toxic. I used to think.
Yeah. I think there was a bit. There might have been a bit of that when I was younger. But
there was a gang of us. Now I don't like to use the word gang, but there was a group of us. You know, you Andy Fozzie and Matty Rippins, and there was a bunch of us. I think that we learnt a lot of camaraderie from being on the estate. I mean, yeah, we had a great little family life and mum and dad and things like that. But we all had nothing.
Yeah,
you know. And what it was is we were all out playing, and it didn't matter who, we were all together.
Yeah.
Everybody's got nothing. We're all mates.
Yeah.
And we learnt to be mates, and we learnt
going back to that Stand By Me thing. Yeah, you're right. When you said it earlier on, mooching. Let's go for a mooch.
Let's go for a mooch. Now, you know, let's go make some fun.
Playing rugby might have been
playing football, playing rugby, but learning each other, just being mates. And We all fought.
Yeah.
But the next day, because the next day was the next day, because it was 6 weeks holidays, you didn't want to get outcast, did you? So, so we all learnt to be mates again, didn't you? You know.
Yeah.
What happened yesterday was yesterday, and tomorrow's another day where we've got bugger all. So let's all just knock about and get on with it.
So it was generally, your Norfolk experience was generally a good one.
Yeah, it was.
I think it's made me what I am.
Yeah.
I think. Thinking back to them days.
Hold the mic.
Sorry,
Yeah. I know
thinking back to them days.
You're a drummer, aren't you? So I know. Yeah.
Thinking back to them days, 6 weeks holidays, just knocking about how many people can go play football. I think it's one of the best things that I could,
Yeah.
That's how I learned to be friends with people, but friends with people of all walks of life. It doesn't matter who you was. We're all knocking about together. We all had our arguments and that, but end of the day, we're all there together.
Good, man, good. And I think, so I always think in North Hull, role models is something that I think our estate lacked. That's in my opinion.
For me?
I was going to say, what, did you have any positive role models? Who were the type of people you was looking up to on the come up?
So, I'm wearing a LFC shirt here. So me and Lloyd played rugby.
Yeah.
And on Schultz's, we went to Isberg Celtic, and there were coaches on there, and they were so positive, and they looked after us.
Yeah.
At 11 years old, I rode my bike. Thinking about it now, how my mum just let me get on my bike, drive up to Schultz's, get on my bike, ride up to Schultz's, and just join a rugby team.
Yeah.
Thinking about it now, my son, I can't imagine him going more than 100 yards away, let alone just getting on his bike and going.
Yeah.
So the rugby lot.
Mike Wilson.
I can't remember who. I'm pulling them.
Mike Wilson's a big one for me, and then Bernie from the Hut.
From the Hut, so the youth club. But then also we did Cubs and Scouts. Now that was a big one. 21st Staff Scouts, which was it was in Fifth Ave School. It used to be at the Green Huts, which got knocked down, which is on the back of Fifth Ave. So that's why it's called 21st Ave. But it was in the what was the hall? The West Hall.
Yeah, on the what would have been the middle school.
Yeah.
So Steve Robinson.
Yeah. There were people that run the Cubs and the Scouts. I mean, people that didn't have to do that. They weren't paid to do it. They were volunteers.
Yeah.
But they saw. Well,
ironically, that's what I do for a living now. Do you know what I mean?
I was going to bring that up, thinking that we went to the youth clubs and all that, and it turns out that your chosen profession is to work with kids that are essentially what we were, as kids, which is, I think,
little
amazing.
toe rags.
Little toe rags.
So would you say you didn't have? I hate to use this the term the streets. But would you say you didn't have time to be lost in the streets? Because me, I would definitely say I did get lost in that sort of just being and I'm sure you did as well, but being an absolute scally, stealing from shops, but it's mad because on an estate when you're still from the shop, they know where you live anyway, so you can't really get away with it.
Do you know why we couldn't get away with it? Because my dad was a parky at East Park. Do you know when we used to go on Queen Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Go on the bowling green.
Yeah.
So if you got in trouble on the bowling green, we couldn't get in trouble because the guy who was running it knew me dad.
Yeah.
You'd still go on there.
Yeah.
And we'd still try and get a chase off parking.
Yeah.
But it just turns out he knew exactly where he was.
Yeah, so Dobbs' son. I mean, to be fair, it was 14, 15, 16 when
we took to the streets.
We was a bit on road.
Took to the streets.
Me and my mate Wardy and Reese used to Ellie Hansen jacket on, and then a bottle of 2020 in that arm. 2020 in that arm.
Yes, love it.
And then we'd go cause. But we used to have to go home. We'd always got shit faced on Queenie Park, and I remember. Well, I'm not going to tell that story actually. I remember that we burnt that bench.
Oh my God! He's actually
the next day.
He's doing it. He's actually doing it.
No, I was on about something else where someone smacked me on my bare ass. But that's a long story.
I mean, why you had a bare ass? I mean, we're going to talk about that? Nah,
maybe not. But yeah, the street drinking stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
when you you're drinking like we were just knocking on with Jermaine and stuff, and Jermaine used to have that real good trick of drinking a bottle.
King's Oak,
sherry
King's
in a
Oak
wanna,
sherry,
yeah.
because he could get served.
Yeah, and he'd do it in a wanna like that.
Yeah.
Then we'd go on to Tesco's, and then they'd cartel your money and get a load of cheese and ham, and then some of them would go on to Ghost Estate. Let's go kick off, and was like, I'm not that bothered about that, mate. I want to sit on the swing on Park and sing Tracy Chapman songs. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? That was my thing.
I love that.
But that's when it was like. But we always on a Saturday, my old fellow was like, "You've always got to be in for 10:30." And I
No, not 10:30. You got to be in before match of the day.
Class.
He knew
I
full
love
well.
that is old school.
We sat there. Pissed out of our heads, and he'd know full well we was pissed out of our heads, but he'd be like, "Oh, I'm going to watch you."
Right, so
let's watch you sweat.
So we'd be sat watching match of the day. My dad doesn't even like any sport. I mean, when we used to play rugby, my dad used to come and watch us. He'd clap when the other team scored.
Yeah.
He didn't even know. So, but when him saying that we had to be in for match of the day, and he'd sit there in his chair, and we'd sit there and both be shaking because. I mean, I know Lloyd's a couple of years older than me, but we used to knock about together.
Yeah.
And that's what we've always done.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only because my mum used to say you have to go out and look after him.
Yeah. Hey,
It's still the case now.
I love that.
So all the naughty behaviour comes later on, mate.
So, would you say you had a good relationship with your parents?
Yeah, but yes, definitely. And then, but when I went to like White after Trinity, I went to White College and I didn't know what I was doing. And kind of got a bit frosty a little bit. But he's my best mate, you know what I mean? I'm into folk music. We play folk music together.
Yeah.
Talk politics together. He's a union man. I'm a union man. We've got a lot in common.
As kids, they were so supportive. I mean,
I love that though. I love to hear that.
When I mean, you know, we're off a state where nobody got bugger all.
Yeah.
But when we showed an interest in something, it was like as soon as we started talking about playing the drums, Christmas Day, a drum kit appeared.
I love that.
And it was. Whether we wanted to do it or not, it was there.
It'd have been a stretch for him as well. Do you know what I mean?
Totally
of course it was.
Fucking hell, the old man, he took that other job at Macro, didn't he?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just to provide for his kids, though. I love that.
To give us exactly what we wanted.
Yeah. That real solid work ethic.
Yeah, but you know, in the same breath though, he's a funny bugger, my dad. So, like, because he did. I mean, he sold a motorbike. He had this motorbike he had, and he sold it to get me this Chevelle acoustic guitar, which I ended up writing like most of the first Paddingtons album on. I ended up losing it, and it took me years to admit that I'd lost it. Well, someone stole it from my dressing room. But in the same breath, when I used to play rugby, he had this three-wheeler car, right, my dad.
The freewheeler.
And I'd be like, I was playing for Isberg Celtic, and I was like,
Surely that got tipped over.
Well,
surely.
No. It's better than that.
So I'm in the car, and he's taking me to go up to East Hull to play. I got picked for all schools or something.
Yeah.
Or up the. And as I'm pulling up to the school up East Hull, on Greatfield, I go, Dad, can you stop me at the front?
Drop me.
Nope. Drove in, beeping his own, his three-wheeler. Like, oh, cheers, Dad, thanks a lot. So he's a wind-up mate. He's like that with our kids now, our kids. You know?
Yeah.
But he's ace. I
think that leads on to sort of my next sort of talking point, like, what gave you, and I think you've probably answered it, like, with how your mum and dad was with you, but what gave you the confidence to do music and do something that, because I'm sure at the time, like, on Norfolk, no one was in bands.
Not many.
No.
So, like, what made you want to try something different? Because obviously, I bet when you was growing up, everyone was listening to, like, happy hardcore shit like that.
Yeah.
Destruction, man.
Yeah,
Destruction.
Like, we are the children of the night and all that.
Yes.
But you know what? Saying that, it was like
sharing tapes. Everybody sharing tapes.
I'm a little bit older though, but the Shaman, we are forever people, and we.
Oh yeah, but that's cooler. No, you can't say that. You're trying to be cool now.
No, but I like the Shaman.
So my dad was he played the flute, and he was into folk music, and we sort of grew up with. There's always music around the house. Now, it wasn't specifically like my dad played the flute and he was a flutist. I guess he just played it every now and again. And we went to like folk festivals and bits and bobs like that. And I think that's maybe what grew, or planted the seeds for music in our family. I mean, but also in the same breath of him playing the flute, he was playing Black Sabbath. So for us to get into what we got into, I think it's probably leaning more towards the Black Sabbath side rather than the flute.
Led Zeppelin and stuff. I mean, the thing is, my dad got into music as a musician quite late.
Yeah.
It's about 30, and I think it coincided with his dad dying. And he got into it. I remember he just drop him off in Cottingham, and he got to about grade 6 flute, proper music. But what it was is, if you're surrounded by, he never went, you're going to be musicians. My mum never said, you're going to be a rugby player like your Uncle Carl. But if it's around and people are talking about it and stuff, it's like an environment which can encourage people to do it. So when I got, as a 13-year-old kid, I was like running to Oasis, Blair, Radiohead and stuff. But at the same time, he's doing this folk music stuff. And if he's going, so if I'm going, I'm interested in this, he's going to like, oh, there's the guitar. But it was never, you're going to do music.
Oh, yeah, they're far from it.
Cultivated an environment where that creativity could be encouraged, which is great.
But he's still like that now. But he was like that with rugby. He was like that with school. He's like they are still like it now. If you show an interest, they'll support you to the end of the earth. But there's no push. There's never been any push. It's up to you.
Would you say there was the catalyst of why you got into a band and stuff? And
I think they helped create an environment from which we could get interested.
Because you got to admit, like where we come from, like to do anything different, anything out of the box, you're subjected to ridicule.
Well, I remember and I still see him now, Jarrett. Every now and again, I see him. He's a good lad, Jarrett.
Yeah.
And when I see him, he goes, "Now then, Jarrett, how are you doing?" But when I was a kid and he was a little bit older than me, he said, "What are you listening to on your well, it'd be a tape deck?" So Beatles. He went, "What, are you gay?" I went, "Well, no, I'm listening to the Beatles, man. Do you know what I mean?" So I stood out a little bit with my peers. Do you know what I mean?
Do you not remember when we played at the Hut?
Oh yeah, when what's his name?
I can't remember that kid.
Moffat.
Is it Moffat? No, he wanted him.
Johnny.
So anyway,
Mud-Eye.
No,
Mud-Eye.
He wanted.
Yeah,
Johnny Mud-Eye.
Punched him in the face.
Mud-Eye. Mud-Eye's just an awful legend, bro. That's right. He's just an awful legend.
So at the youth club, we put a gig on, and we played this gig, and it was Mike Lister.
It was Mike Lister's brother, Simon Lister.
So we put this gig on, and then obviously some of the kids had come off the estate, and because of the loud noises, blah blah blah.
Get it up.
And
That's so sweet.
I mean,
No, I don't.
from there it's fine. We're all right. Right. So we played at the Green Oats. The Green Oats. We didn't play the Green Oats. We played the Hut. Youth club. We did like a gig, and then packed away. And on the way out, a couple of kids, maybe a bit jealous. One of the lads that we were playing with got chinned, and it was like, do you know, you're talking about getting ridiculed.
Yeah.
But then on the way home, what's the same that street?
You know when Shoebrook knocked me out?
When you in Shoebrook knocked you out as well.
Fucking, that's the first time I've ever been belted, proper belted.
Yeah.
Shoebrook, was that night?
Yeah, same night.
Oh God, I went home.
My mum.
She got
I'll go get him. I'll go get him.
To get him.
Did she?
Yeah,
Proper.
No, do you know when I got belted by Shoebrook? That was before.
I'm sure it was on.
No, because I was about 13. But do you know when you first ever get belted proper?
Yeah.
And you see stars.
Yeah.
So I goes home.
You just can't hear anything for like a couple of seconds, can you?
But I got first time ever proper got cracked.
But you know what? I'll stand by this. There's no reason why I did that. When I was there, there's no reason why I did that. And still today, I see him in Avenue every now and then. I just want to go and go, what's up with you?
Yeah. Fucking idiot. Anyway.
No, but you know what? I commend you for putting on a gig in the Hut, because I wouldn't have dared step out of line or do anything different back then.
But the thing is, you know, Francois and
they encourage it.
They encourage it.
They encourage it, and they got us down there. We want to put it on if they have really shown us a lot of love for that.
And also at the time, I must have been 14 years old and like obsessed with Oasis and Britpop music and stuff. I was like, I want to be Noel Gallagher. I want to be Damon Albarn. That's where I'm going to do it. At there.
It was a stage, yeah.
But
yeah.
Shoebrook, fucking bastard.
Yeah. Do you still get that edge to just chin him back now, though?
Do you know what? I've never.
It's a lot different.
I played rugby for years, and I like to think I can look after myself. But do you know what? I'm not that good at punching people. You could do that for me.
So much confidence in your voice as well when you said it. Can't we just talk?
Yeah. Have you ever? Should we talk about Marxist dialects?
God. So let's talk about like your path into how did the because I know the people listening will want to know like how did the Paddingtons start? What happened? Tell me, man, like what happened? Like because I always think like when everyone mentions Hull's greatest exports, your band always comes into the conversation. So I feel like for the younger gen, we need to go down memory lane.
Let's have a little look at it.
Yeah.
Because interesting, we just did a gig. We did a 4-run, well, it was meant to be 5 gigs, but we had to cancel them last year because of COVID and stuff. But we did that gig at Adelphi on the Sunday, and there's this band in Hull called Ketamine Cow. And they're all about 17 years old. And they were all at the front of our gig at Adelphi going mental. So they're probably, and they weren't even born when we was gigging. Do you know what I mean? So you're right, we need to, if people are bothered. But I guess the Paddingtons, like I said, me and Grant used to play in bands like on the estate and in my mum's converted loft, my mum and dad's converted loft.
Don't tell environmental health though, is it?
It's not. It's
the council found out.
Yeah, they're not,
we're all in trouble, man. It don't exist.
But I left Trinity House and went to White College and proper started getting into music. Met Marv, who's also off Norfolk. Martin Hines. He's off Norfolk, and started playing a bit of music with him. Obviously, if I was going to be in a band with anybody, it'd be with our kid.
Oh, yeah, do you remember earlier when you asked how did you get into a band? I got into a band because my brother told me I was in a band.
Oh, right, yeah. No choice.
Pretty much.
No choice.
And
I'm still questioning it now.
So you get to about 17 years old.
Let me just cut you there, though.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't have cut you, actually.
No,
But I've got a habit of doing this. But how did 2 hard rugby players start being in a band, man? I'm intrigued about that.
Well, do you know what I think? What it is we was always musical, and the question probably should be, why did 2 musical people end up becoming rugby players?
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, I ended up playing for Rovers Academy. I started when I was about 18 years old. Do you know what I mean? But there was a point where, at that time, I was playing half decent, good rugby, but I was just more like thinking, that's where I want to go. Music. Do it for myself. So yes, that's probably not the question, isn't it? But
yeah, go back to...
No, yeah, so we just... But once you get...
Sorry for interrupting.
No, mate, sure. But, when you start getting to the age where you can go into... You're really into indie music or alternative rock music or whatever, you start going to Piper, you're underage, you're sneaking in.
Yeah.
And you start... And I had a load of mates from Cottingham, Ben Brooker and all them lot who knew Tom Atkin, we met him, and so Tom and Josh were from Cottingham, went to Cox School. And it was just literally... We fell into a band before we was actually a band. We was talking about being in a band before we'd even plugged in the frigging guitars. And then we finally got our act together and we got a little space and started doing covers.
Well, we actually had gigs before we actually had songs, which is probably more's the...
We got a gig in Cottingham after about 5 months of rehearsing. I don't know if it was me who booked it. I said, we're Rolling Stones and the Beatles cover band. And then when we were setting up, they saw the set list and it had like Sex Pistols songs on it and shit like that. They chucked us out. You're not playing. So we went and played somewhere else that night. And we made our own bubble. We made our own bubble.
That story's got way more legs than that. So it was the Cross Keys in Cottingham, and we set up and we booked. And we found out later on that Lloyd had booked us as a Beatles cover band. And we got there, sound checked, done, went away to go get changed like proper rock stars. And then when we got back, the landlord was like, nah, you can't play, you're going to alienate our locals, you're going to... So literally they lobbed us out. And I remember being stood in a phone box, of all things, because phone boxes were actually things back then, looking through... the Yellow Pages thing, looking for pubs in Cottingham, and we rang up the Railway pub, and it just so happened that their act had cancelled that night, so they got us down, and we must have had 150 people.
But basically, our extended Sanderson family.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was just first cousins, and we went and played there. And do you know what? Had we not maybe found that place, I don't know, would it have carried on? It was quite disheartening, but when we did it, and what they paid us, they paid 40 pints, because he didn't give us any money. Paid us 40 pints. We was like, 40 pints? We went in the next night and drank the lot.
Oh, we did. Do you know what? I just remember now.
And then from then on, the Railway in Cottingham, that became our sort of like home, didn't it? They booked us every couple of months, and
cut our teeth doing that, and then
really cut our teeth. Yeah.
But from there, you start. Then you finally get your gig at Adelphi. You finally get your gig at the Sesh when it started, and all things like that. But at the same time, what was going on? To to get to the point, the bands like the Strokes and the Libertines started to come out, and we really got into that. And then I remember the Libertines played a gig in Nottingham, and I didn't go. Grant went and Tom Atkin went. They came back the next day and said, we've just been knocking around with Pete Doherty. And then so he was aware of us. We did a gig in Scarborough. That had this kid who was briefly in the Libertines, played in his band called the RVs, and he got us a gig in London, which was in a squat.
Ironically, it was called Scarborough Steve.
It's called Scarborough Steve. Did a gig in a squat, which we thought was our first gig in London, but it was literally, we had to go through a hole in the window. It was mental. And there's all these Portuguese punks there and everyone doing loads of dodgy shit. Did that. And I remember the selfish cunt was there with his tape measure around his head, saying Great Britain is shit, spray paint in his squat. We was like, wow, we're in London.
Then the coppers came, we got chased. Yeah. We got chased out, but the only way we could escape was it was like a shop front that was covered in like hoardings. So all the shops were all covered in these hoardings, so we had to escape by going through all these shops. And can you remember there was a mucky bookshop, remember?
I do remember that now, yeah. But on the back of that, we ended up doing gigs at River Factory, and Alan McGee signed us. And it was, I guess it's from us just making our own little world in Hull, making connections with people like Pete Doherty. Yeah. Therefore, Alan McGee, who's like the big music mogul guy, he signed us. And then we got signed and released a single that went to 47 in the charts. I remember my mum rang me when she found, never mind.
Never mind.
So, that's 47 in the charts,
man. That's not the best Norfolk mum ever. But never mind.
Based on that, we got a record deal, a proper record deal, and released an album. And then we were in the industry then.
Yeah.
And then from there we had...
So let me just rewind a bit. Yeah. So like, how long did it take you from that moment in Railway Pub to getting the number 47 in the charts? What was the process like?
2 years.
2 years, yeah.
2 years.
2 years and...
2 years of graft. 2 years of going around the country in a Vauxhall Nova.
Yeah, oh God.
We're in a 5-piece band. Now, how many people can get a Vauxhall Nova?
It was driving like with all the amps.
How many guitars can you get? We used to sit in the back with guitars across the back three of us, with a tent in the back. Our first ever tour that we did, we actually had tents. We camped.
Remember them cows got in the tent? Or was it sheep? Their heads came into the tent.
So our first tour, because I mean, this was sort of like, MySpace was there, but it was kind of like, there was the Libertines.org was a message board, and it was like a black background and subjects, and you just clicked on that, and then you wrote your little comment putting songs on, putting all that sort of thing. And we sort of made friends through the Libertines.org. So like, somebody wanted to book us in Shrewsbury. So it was like, sod it, let's go. We jumped in the Vauxhall Nova. We all took our tents, put on the message board. After the gig, bring your own tent. We'll go to the campsite. So basically, we booked onto the campsite. We had our 3 tents. Yeah. Woke up in the morning, there was probably 30 tents. Everybody just turned up and put their own tents on. We had our own rave, basically.
Class.
And it was like sort of the most sort of DIY it could be at that point in time, I guess. So through the internet and through message boards, we sort of built a fan base and started the momentum of what would be our sort of rise.
And which led to the 47 in the charts, and then got us signed, and then we went and did better things.
So you said you'd say you created a buzz in Hull first.
We definitely was willing to. I mean, was willing to play any gig around Hull. Yeah. But we was willing, on the dole, nothing else going on, to get in a car and go play wherever.
Telford today. Got to go to the Iron Bridge though. That was nice.
Yeah, the Iron
Bridge. You had that hunger.
But and that's what I said. If anybody wants to do it, you've got to be willing to sacrifice it and go do that gig. Yeah. You know, no matter what, don't think about what's
well, is it different? I mean, not to get into it too much, but is it different now? Do you have to slog it like that now? Can you do the slog in a different way by creating a buzz online? But totally, I don't know.
Does that not teach you how to play though? If you can play to 10 people in Doncaster because somebody's booked you and you've gone on a whim, does it have to be a ticketed gig? Does it have to be a big gig? I think you learn how to play properly like that.
You do.
So the name, the Paddingtons, where does that come from?
You go.
That's on me, that.
Yeah.
And well, it's actually more on my mum. I went to White College my first year. My mum gave me 20 quid Is it 20 quid to get a winter jacket? Got to get a winter jacket. You know, you join in September,
quid.
winter jacket. Just give me 20 quid. So I went to, there was a shop across the road from Beasley's during Epworth Arcade.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember it. And she had this duffel coat, brown duffel coat, and it was 10 quid. So if I paid 10 quid, that meant I had 10 quid for beer. So I bought the jacket, put it on, and everybody said it looked like Paddington Bear.
Okay.
So we got to rehearsals, and we had so many different names.
It was called the Codheads for a bit.
Yeah. The Panheads.
Yeah, there were people who...
Oh, no. We were the Codheads, and our fans were the Panheads.
Which was two people. Matthew Quinn was one of them. Do you remember him?
No, is he off and off all?
Yeah, Quinn is, yeah.
Quinn. But then, so then we decided on it was going to be called the Paddingtons. We thought of something better, and it turns out 20 years later we still haven't thought of anything better.
Well, it's stuck, and you've...
It's definitely stuck.
You've
And
done-
do you know what? I think that that jacket's still about.
Yeah, it had all that like kebab juice on it.
Of course it
remember? Yeah. Sorry. I'm enjoying this.
No, I'm enjoying it as well. I'm getting to sit down with two legends. So, like, there was you two, and then who was the other two members?
There's another three. So we've got Martin Hines, Marv,
Yeah.
he's off Norfolk.
Yeah.
He's a fifth half kid.
And then you got Tom Atkin, who's the lead singer.
Yeah.
Who,
He was in the NME coolest one, eh?
he was the 14th coolest person on planet Earth in 2006, according to the enemy.
I've been doing my Googles.
Oh, yeah. And then, so he lives in London now. He lives in London. And then you got Josh Hubbard,
Yeah.
who's, again, he was off Cot Road. His dad was Steve Hubbard.
Yeah.
the
Hubbards
rugby
are
player.
the big family and all that.
Yeah,
musically and that.
Well, he was. Well, I'm saying it. I'm wearing a Hull FC top, and I don't want to say it. So Steve Hubbard was the guy who scored the 10. Well, I think he scored 8 of the 10 points against Hull FC in 1980.
And the beat us in the Challenge Cup.
And they beat us in the Challenge Cup. Wearing a Hull FC top right now.
Yeah.
I kind of want to spit on the floor, but I'm not going to because I love Steve Hubbard.
Do you know my mum's... I don't know if it's a second cousin. Mum's second cousin's Martin O'Fire.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No way.
Oh, Martin O'Fire. Martin O'Fire, man. Proper rugby league legend.
Yeah,
He actually started playing rugby union, didn't he, originally?
Yeah, so at what point did you realise shit was happening with the band? Like, you was getting to that next level?
I guess it was... So we started doing gigs at a place called the Riven Factory
All right.
in Whitechapel Road in East London.
Yeah.
The scene we was involved with, like the Dockety, the others, the
Yeah.
Rakes, that's where it was in East London. Started playing gigs there, and people were coming turning out to see us. Do you know what I mean? And there was particularly it was London. We made it in London more than we made anywhere else.
Do you know what? I found out a story the other day of our first ever manager, Joe Doff.
Yeah.
So McGee thought that we were from Paddington,
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
and that's why he wanted to sign us. When he found out we were from Hull, he fucking shit the bed. He was like, "That's better."
That's better, yeah. That's better. He signed us. I remember he signed us in this Riven Factory, and so there's people there. We're in the buzz of this like East London grot and roll scene, and there's like people turning out to watch us, and we're like there's a community similar to what you get in Hull, but but there's people from like in London, and he's turning out to watch us, and we played this gig about it was like an all-dayer. All nighter.
All nighter.
Yeah, we went on about 4 a.m, and he came and he was like, "I'm going to sign you. You sound like the Saints," which is like an Australian punk band from the 70s. And half the band are going, and I'm like, "I know who the Saints are." And once he signed us,
I was like, St Helens.
Yeah,
What?
St.
What are you trying to say?
he signed us, and then pretty much once he had a label called Pop Tones, which is a feeder label to a major label, Mercury Records.
Yeah.
And he signed us to that for a single deal. And once we signed, that's when we went, oh shit, this is real, because all of a sudden we had like a press officer and a booker and this, and it was like, wait a minute, we had people doing our artwork for our vinyls and stuff. We used to go to their head office, and when you go in the head office, you
get sandwiches and that.
you get fed. You get fed.
Well, do you know where the offices were? It was
Primrose Hill.
No, the when we went to the main one where Def Jam was, and
Was that the Creation head office?
no, the Universal one. Universal
Oh,
Towers.
that's later on, yeah, but yeah, no,
later on, sorry,
what about
sorry.
Pop Tones?
Right. Sorry.
But when it happened was when you go from playing a gig and people like coming to watch you and getting a buzz off it, and you're getting a buzz off it as well. Do you know what I mean? And we put that little compilation out. What was it called? Bring Your Own Poison, and was like, oh, there's something's happening here. But as soon as we signed that single deal, that's when you wait. Well, wait a minute, something's happening here. So then you start going on tour with other bands, and you get tour supports, and you're starting to talk about being in the band as a business, which is ridiculous because for me, I was like, what?
Yeah,
Business?
you was just doing this for fun, weren't you?
Yeah, and a passion. And like, I've gotten from playing Turnpike or in Hull to go playing down in London.
Yeah.
And then from that, that's like I said, that single went into 47 with no real financial support. And then we got a phone call for our manager at the time saying that Mercury Records are going to sign you. And we was like, what does that mean? And it's like, they're going to sign you, they're going to offer you 130 grand or something like that.
For an advance,
It was they wanted to sign us for a 6-album deal. And we were sat in the back of our ex-police riot van. Converted riot van. That when we bought it, still had blood on the benches. And we were still in that. And then we were just about to go play a gig in London, and our manager, who was our driver at that time, because that's the way the world was. He turned over, looked over the back of the seat and was like, oh yeah, by the way, they want to offer you 6 albums.
We're like, what the fuck? Do you know what I mean? So we signed that deal. And then from
was it the right decision, do you think?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
of course,
definitely.
Yeah, it was. What it was, because what you got from that is then you got more than Pop Tones, which was basically like I guess it was a feeder label to nurture artists. And then we went into, I guess we're one of the last bands, or that period of last bands where they threw money at you. It was like the old school way of getting signed as a band.
Yeah.
Pre-internet, yeah.
Pre-internet. So where there was money being thrown around a little bit, but then on top of that, we got to buy they give us money to buy instruments, they give you tour support, which gets you on the road. You get to work with. We actually got a new manager, and with Jodoff, who started with us. We love him to bits, but we ended up getting with some of these London kids.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, we're recording with Owen Morris. We're doing more gigs. People are coming to the shows. You used to get riders.
Yeah.
You used to fight over the fags on the riders.
Yeah. We weren't sleeping in tents.
Yeah.
The Vauxhall Nova was a bit bigger. It turned into a ladder. Yeah. It was great. Yeah, you know.
You start getting festivals, Glastonbury.
Saying that though, when we signed our deal, we'd just come off tour. We was in the back of that riot van. We went to our lawyers, which was like.
I mean, what's that? We had a lawyer.
We had a lawyer. What the fuck? Went to our lawyers. That was down like, I think it was like Kensington High Street. It was like real
top notch.
We walked in after a 30-day tour, smelling like we'd been bog snorkeling. Let's have it right.
Yeah. Tom Atkin fell asleep on
in a good way, and we walked in, and do you know when you think you're supposed to sign a 6-album deal with a major label, you're expecting champagne and photographers.
Yeah, that photo.
Yeah. Do you know what it was? We was asking for food because we had no money. We were living on noodle sandwiches, and we got was it a box of Pringles?
I can't remember.
It was it was the biggest sort of disheartening thing ever.
But you was happy, right? Though.
We were
happy. Yeah. No. Sorry. To get this right, I was happy. It was over the moon. But do you know when you're expecting champagne supernova and all you got was a Vauxhall Nova? Do you know what I mean? That's exactly what we got.
I love that.
And it was hilarious.
Then we signed to the major, and then once you signed to them, that's when it happened. And I remember we played this gig at this Great Eastern Hotel in East London, and there was a lot of bands, Art Brew playing. But anyway,
do you remember I was there?
PlayStation.
We launched the PSP.
Did you?
We launched the PSP.
Wow.
It was an Art Brew.
Round of applause.
Yeah.
It was on a Sunday in this hotel. I didn't know that. We also, side note, we also launched Relentless, the drink, on a boat in London.
Wow.
So going down the Thames on a boat, we played a gig launching Relentless. In fact, he was actually launching the drink as well. And there was an ice sculpture, which was a woman with her legs open, and there was a hole from her mouth to what have you.
And you poured it down.
And you poured it down, and you drank it.
Yeah. We've done some stupid shit.
Mate, it sounds like sick shit. It doesn't sound stupid to me.
I just forgot about that.
I forgot about that as well.
PSP, Relentless.
I got frostbite that day as well.
I bet you did.
Of course you did. But that day we did the Great Eastern Hotel.
I got a cup of hot water.
That's the day our second single went into the charts at 25 in the charts.
Yeah.
and we sat in this hotel room, and there was a couple of our peers from other bands who were signed at the same time, and our managers knew where we'd got in on the charts, and we sat there listening to the charts.
You know, remember we actually we actually listened to it on the radio. Do you know, Top of the Pops on the radio.
The countdown
We
and
actually
that,
had to sit in a room and listen. Now our managers knew; they didn't tell us. But it's probably one of the last times where you could actually sit and listen on the radio. And we were sat there going.
But lads, Panic Attack 25.
Yeah.
What is that feeling like?
That's that moment in that room, mate, because it was like, we was told it was in the top 40, so it was like, this is brilliant. Once you're in the top 40, that's it. And then it was going down, and it
was top 5 midweek. So it was top 10 midweek. It was number 5. But obviously the pop tracks get bought on the weekend.
Yeah. It was do you know what? It was the best, the feeling when it went in at number 25. And interestingly, the people who was presenting it was Joel Ross and that. They used to work on Viking.
JK and Joel.
Yeah, they used to work on Radio Umbersad, and there was not Radio Umbersad, Viking FM. But anyway, and they came in and was like that. Fucking hell, fist pumping, champagne came out. Fucking hell, it was brilliant. And we played a gig and it was this. And we had a cut, and then from there, from the fact that went into 25, we got the Glastonbury sets, we got the Leeds and Reading, Tea in the Park, got to go to Japan, toured all over Europe, and then we started to play to venues. Instead of playing to 300 people, we'd go to 1,000 people, and we'd be in Edinburgh, there'd be 900 people. And it was just there was 2 or 3 years where it was like
it was sick.
Big doors were open from that.
We went from a split tour bus to an actual tour bus.
Yeah.
Do you know that big bugger? The big bugger. Yeah, we had some fun on them ones.
I bet you did.
We once got we once got one that it came through to Hull to pick us up, and Beyonce had it the day before.
Oh my God.
Do you remember? It was all good.
Do you remember? Do you remember? We was all picking seats, man. Let's have it right. Picking bunks, picking seats.
Every time we used to go on that big tour bus, I remember we did a gig out of Welly on that tour. I think it might have been the first night. And you know, Dave Mays from Social and Welly and all that. And he was on it. It was on it. And we done our gig and was you drive overnight to the next venue. And so we're on that tour bus, and Mays is he's not getting off it.
Yeah,
so I'm coming with you. And then all of a sudden, as the engine drives, he goes, "I'm getting off," and he just flew off the bus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's to go back to what you were saying, that's when we went.
The original point. What was the original point?
When do you realise it got real? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Like, you absolute legends in the game. Absolute legends. Like,
it was. It went really quick.
Yeah.
And now, let's be real, as quick as it went up, as quick as it went down. But that sort of
3 or 4 years, it was fucking ace.
That sort of.
Would you say?
Ascension was,
because I feel like people are going to be interested. Like, would you say you earned good money? Because obviously, because I don't know what it's like. Because obviously, I wasn't in the music industry then, but I know now how, because of streaming and all that bullshit, artists only really earn money from shows. And I know you was playing probably a lot of shows back then. So was you earning dough?
The money, it all went into the business. So like the advance was good. I mean, I used to get told off because I used to get the wages. I used to say the wages woman used to pay me 4 or 5 times a week, and then like my manager went, "Stop paying Lloyd money," because I just misbehaving with it. But you could,
money was good, but at that point, the reins got pulled in on the industry, so nobody knew what was going on. I mean, I'm talking about when we first. I think when Panic Attack came out was the same week that I Bet You Look Good. No, sorry, that was when Sorry came out. So we just dropped out the top 40. I think it was 41. Was it 39? I Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor came out, and that was the first week that digital downloads were counted in the charts.
Yeah.
And at that point, the industry pulled the reins in. Now, when we was at Universal, and when I was explaining about Universal Towers, so Universal Towers is a place in Hammersmith. It's like a cylindrical building, like Capitol Records in LA. Same thing, but each floor is a different. So you had Mercury, Universal, Def Jam. There was a couple of them, and basically there was one person that ran something called New Media.
Okay.
Right now at Domino, or was it XL? is it XL? Where the Arctic Monkeys were. They had their own building. Now they were ahead of the game. They were streets ahead of everybody. Like I said, when that first happened, nobody even knew what new media was. You know, like the internet was. Nobody knew what was going to happen. So they pulled the reins in, and I think it lost a lot of.
Yeah, it happened at the time. It shifted from.
Well, they were old school
to new school.
Yeah.
So I mean, to answer your question, yeah, for a bit we had it was good money. It was good money, and then we used to get these like corporate gigs, which was really good.
Yeah, I've heard about them. I've heard about them corporate gigs.
Didn't tell us what we used to get paid, because if they told us, I'd have gone, well, I want $3,000 now in my hand. Give me it now. But they wouldn't go into the business, the Paddingtons
launching
business.
like say the Relentless, the PSB thing. It was some of that we did quite a lot. I mean,
Mike.
Yeah.
In your mouth.
Oh, yeah. Do you know I did a degree in music? I know where the field of. I can't remember what I was on about now. Next. Sorry. Put me off.
Probably me just tell you off about the mic. So, like, what was you spending your money on, though? That's what I want to know. A lot of it, except for, like, the...
Cardigans.
Flowers.
I used to put them behind my ear a lot, didn't I?
Yeah. Oh, God. Do you know what?
Eyeliner. That was a thing for a bit. I didn't buy any eyeliner. I used to get it off girls in the crowd. Do you know what? It's hard to spend music when you're getting signed like that. Your clothes were free. Your booze was free. Your food was free. Your hotels were free. So, you spend it on things that you probably shouldn't do. Well, I did anyway. Bugger it.
Wow, all right.
That was a long time ago.
It was, wasn't it? Anyway.
Sorry.
So, like, you was part of the noughties, like, rock and roll scene, like, with acts like the Libertines and, like, the Arctic Monkeys and the Killers and stuff like that. Like, did you see them guys as, like, your competition or what? Or was you just proud to just be amongst that movement? And especially because I feel like there was a real strong Yorkshire movement as well.
Yeah, there was.
The Yorkshire movement was big. I mean, the guys that you mentioned, they were like sort of first wave.
Yeah.
You know, we sort of came on the back of that.
Yeah.
I mean, the Libertines were an influence of ours massively. The Strokes were a massive influence of ours.
The Strokes are the greatest rock and roll band of all time.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I love them to bits.
So we sort of came after them. So seeing them, I mean, still to this day, see them as they're more gods to us than Rivals or anything close to that.
Well, not gods. That's ridiculous. They're just we saw Dockety.
Right, it's only my opinion. But,
I know. But I mean, we saw Dockety. Dockety played in Hull.
You're gonna get
he played last week.
Bucket round the head in a minute.
Yeah. Saw Dockety last week, and I ain't seen him for 5 years because especially bands like Libertines with Dockety, but his other band Baby Shambles, they took us under the wing and supported us and give us certain gigs, and whereas bands like the Killers were. For a start, they were British based, you know what I mean, and I guess they were a bit more commercial, and so we sort of fit in with like the Baby Shambles, the Cribs, the big band, and there was a Yorkshire band from Wakefield, and we did gigs with them, and there was so when we talk about music community in Hull now, or when we was in the music community in Hull back then, there was this. Well, as we got signed, we sort of there was like this community of bands from the country that was connected by the motorway basically, and this ever increasing online situation, and so you felt part of it. You felt they were your peers, you were equals. Sometimes you felt that they were inspiring and influential, but ultimately some of these people we still talk to now and hang around with now, and see the Cribs in particular.
And I think I asked you that rival question because in my genre of music, it is very rivalry based.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like in the band scene, like obviously I know Blair and Oasis had that little thing at the Brit Awards or whatever it was and that, but barring that, I've never really known of bands beefing. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to punch each other if you see each other and stuff like that.
But there is a bit of it though.
Is there?
There is a bit because we was like
not in front of each other though.
No, not really. It was always behind each other's back. But I mean, there was bands that there was a wave of bands that signed to Mercury Universal at the same time as us. And they were our friends, but we all sort of went, well, we're better than them.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, talking about the rivalry thing, I was gonna talk about. I was gonna bring up the sesh thing. Like when the sesh first started, it was like literally every. I mean, I don't know how you see it or how it's regarded now, but when it first started, it was literally 10 bands in a room together watching each other play.
White kids with guitars
so then
playing indie music.
But then the next week they'd play. Everybody would still be there.
Yeah.
All the bands were all there. Tuesday night. I mean, I guess it was probably we were all young enough and daft enough that we could. A Tuesday night was not a big thing. I know that.
It was a good scene, but it was one down. It was like one dimensional.
Oh, yeah,
so,
but what I'm saying as a scene, but we always made sure that wherever we played, we always took Hull with us, and.
We used to get asked all the time in the NME or whatever we'd interview us, and they go, "What's the best band you're listening to now?" And we'd have a go, Turismo. Matt Edible and the Holy Orders. We just name Morphines. It's clearly at the ace bands.
Yeah.
So we used to big up bands.
Yeah.
But I believe that's what's made us as what we are as people. Again, talking about coming off the estate, all mates.
Yeah.
Solidarity.
We all solidarity, and we're all comrades, and we all look after each other. And when we started going up the ladder, who do we bring with us?
You throw
people
the ladder
from Hull as well. You know, we've had Turismo playing to 1,000 people in Wolverhampton.
He was throwing the ladder down.
And
because it was thrown down to us.
Yeah, exactly.
It definitely was by other people. But then sometimes there was a couple of. They're all right. As Dave Goff said, these are good, aren't they? Yeah. Fucking shit. While you're watching them.
So
We could be bitches, can't we, in bands?
of course, yeah. Well, you got to be honest. Well, your version of honesty.
so rivalry, yes.
Healthy, though.
Healthy. We was all in it together until anybody was doing better.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're slagging them off.
So that first album, is it First Things First? Is it?
First comes first.
First comes first. Yeah.
Was Panic Attack on that album?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that album was produced by
Owen Morris,
the guy who produced
yeah.
some of Oasis stuff.
Yeah, Owen Morris, yeah. Owen Morris did that, yeah.
He did.
And what was that like? Was you, like, when he produced it and he was going into the sessions, was you, like, nervous? Was you excited? Or
both?
Did you know about, you obviously knew about his reputation.
Well, yeah, I certainly did.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't, and I've never felt so.
You only did a week, didn't you?
I did a week. I had to run away because he absolutely annihilated me.
I've heard. Like, do you want to
fucking drama? Just fucking drama. Ooh, yeah.
Do you want to give us a little sneak peek of what used to happen in them sessions?
So we recorded in Catsfield, which is just outside of Hastings. The record label decided that they wanted to send us somewhere where
not London, basically.
we wouldn't get in trouble, basically. So they sent us to the middle of nowhere. Little did they know that they sent us with Owen Morris, who can find trouble in the middle of a haystack with the needle, you know. So we walked into this pub. We'd just driven down in our. Well, in fact, back then we were still in the right van, weren't we? Yeah. So we pull up to this pub, and we walk in, and he's sat there, and he's literally got his arms out, and he's just, you know, he's drinking Red Bull and vodka, and he's like
a country pub.
Yeah.
People having the
middle of
Sunday
nowhere,
dinner,
like I'm talking like Leven, you know, that type of place. Yeah. And he's like, "You must be the fucking Paddingtons."
They look like a set of drug addicts. I was like, what?
So was it like boot camp then?
Boot camp? Do you know what? It was like water torture. It was more than that. It was worse. I've never played the drums. So like behind the glass, he sat there at this big. This desk was absolutely huge. I mean, The Cure recorded there. This place was massive.
Yeah.
And we're playing the drum. I'm playing the drums. I'm playing along and that. And he's just absolutely playing along. And he's just like, just shouting. Do it louder. Do it better. Do it. But while he's doing that, he's listening to American Idiot by Green Day. So every time he presses the talkback button, all I can hear is da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. So basically, he's trying to show me up to say that he's doing it better than you.
Okay.
To try and rile me up.
All right.
And
did it work though?
Did it work?
The album.
I'm sure. I think I've let his tyres down a couple of times.
He lost his car in that recording session, didn't he? He was like, "Oh bloody hell, boys! I've lost my Jaguar." But it was kind of like because that album is it's our debut album. It's the most punk thing we did. It was done in 2 weeks. In comparison, the second album was done in 2 months in Glasgow. And there's something about that, whether it's a deliberate tactic of his or whatever, but there was an environment which
he made that environment really tense. He made the album really punk because he was really aggro and he just basically he had you along, or he kissed his ass.
Used to,
basically.
One night he said, "You're not going to bed, boy. We're going to watch The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly." And he made me watch it twice in a row. The old cowboy film. And I was like, I want to go to bed. You're not. You're going to watch this, and then we'd go to bed for 2 hours. I'd like start the session. I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
It'd be like 3 o'clock in the morning. I was in the next room to him, and he'd just be banging on the wall, just banging, shouting. Water torture, water torture, yeah.
But it was a good end product, though, wasn't it?
The end product is he knew what he was getting.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing is that he didn't know that he was absolutely. I'm still on therapy to this day
Because of his treatment.
My mum now.
What?
Are you on therapy?
She's my therapist.
Your mum?
Yeah.
My mum?
Yeah.
Okay.
Brayer on the head.
Would you? So, and then obviously the second album, who produced that? Was it the same geezer?
No, it was a guy called Tony Dugan. So the second album was
very different.
2007, but the guy called Tony Dugan, and he's a great producer. He's done like Mogwai, Bell and Sebastian, Dirty Pretty Things, all these bands that we looked. Yeah, Teenage Fan Club, brilliant band. But it was less punk, and it was less creating an environment which you get this vibe from. It was probably our 2 weeks to do the first album, 2 months to do the second album, and it was different. And we pushed ourselves as musicians. He was a different sort of producer. I mean, we got to stay in Glasgow for 2 months, which was great.
We lived in the West End of Glasgow.
Yeah.
Now that place is amazing, absolutely amazing. Do you remember when we saw Frankie Boyle?
No,
You don't remember? So Tony had stopped drinking when just before we started the session, so we weren't allowed to drink in the studio. So
there's a big difference for a start.
Yeah. So basically, our first album, we was recording from 5 o'clock in the evening till 6 o'clock in the morning, whereas our second album was
9 to 5, wasn't it?
9 to 5, basically. So after that, we'd go to the pub just near our digs, and I remember walking outside. For some reason, it was like a screen pub, and there was Frankie Boyle stood at the bus stop. Don't know what he was doing, so I ran in and told the lads, and we did the. Do you not remember? We did it like. Do you remember on Ghostbusters 2 where they all put their heads around the door and they go like that, and there's like another head there, Frankie!
I don't remember that.
Of course you don't. Cause you can piss. That's why.
But yeah, it was different.
That's how Frankie Boyle from.
And it's a different sounding album.
Yeah.
I'm proud of that album, actually. Some people say it's in the band. They're not into it, but it's good. It's good. That's the album where other songwriters within the band started writing more and stuff like that. But yeah, it's good. I mean, but it was different. It was not as intense. Maybe thought about a little bit more, but I think that's the different. The first album's more about this is our first set of songs. Bang. Do you know what I mean? Whereas this one, difficult second album, whatever. Do you know what I mean?
So. Obviously, you were signed for 6 albums. Did you do the 6?
No, we did 2.
No,
Yeah.
2, yeah.
And then we did.
You did an EP though, didn't you?
Yeah,
An EP.
Ladyboy Tapes. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Ladyboy Tapes, which was recorded by Dave Allen, actually, who we don't really talk about that much.
That
but
Cure,
he did the Cure.
It changed a little bit because what happened was what Mercury there was this wave of like indie bands on the back end of the bands like the Strokes and Libertines and whatnot, and it just changed. The music industry just changed. So there was like Claxons was going on. There was a just different vibe.
Yeah.
If the MD of the label goes, he got sacked.
Yeah, that's normally what happens. Yeah,
and that's what happened.
Yeah,
And it really did. Like he got sacked, and then literally a load of bands got.
Yeah. We had to fight him for a little bit more money though.
Yeah.
But then we did it, and then we set our own label up, Mama Bear Records, and released a bit more, and kept it going for a little bit. But it just got a bit tougher, really. Do you know what I mean?
So what was it like? Because I know this is a question. Deezy wanted me to ask this question. What was it like touring with the Baby Shambles?
With Baby Shambles, so we toured with Baby Shambles. We did like that weird tour where we was in the back of the van and we ended up swimming. Oh,
that's a real good. I'll tell you a story. We did this gig with Baby Shambles. So just after he's been sacked from the Libertines, and we're in the back of this splitter. So about 2004, and we're driving between Sheffield and somewhere else. So do you know when you get the like in like the Dales and in Yorkshire, the reservoirs. Pull up and we're like, let's go in there. There's a boat down there, and we get Josh to get into this boat. And was it you who got in it? And we pushed Josh and Docherty's in this boat, and we're pushing Josh into the reservoir. Docherty jumps out of the boat, throws away the oars, and we just pushed Josh into this reservoir, and he just went off. And he couldn't get out at all.
So, once again, who's the only person that had to go save him?
Oh, you went to swim and got
I
him.
had to go swim and save him and get this boat. So then I get him back to dry land, and I'm getting changed outside the splitter, and Docherty comes around with a lot of orange spray paint while I'm changing my underpants, and he covers me in fucking orange spray paint. It's like, yeah, real nice.
Is Docherty as mad as what the media says he is?
In them days, it kind of was. But do you know what? I'll always say this: he's the nicest, sweetest guy you will have ever met. So I met him on Thursday. He played at the Tower on Thursday.
Yeah.
So I walk in. I've not seen him for. Well, we played with him in 2017. It's probably the last time, but I don't even think I saw him then. And he walked in. He was like, "Oh, now then, how's it going? How's your kid?" And it was like we just carried on a conversation.
Like it left off. Every time I see him, he goes, "How's your daughter?"
Yeah.
She must be 15 now. I'm like, oh, yes, she is.
He's one of the most like sort of kind, caring, considerate people. Do you know? I mean, I know the media would print him out to be whatever they want because that sells papers.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that he played up to it a little bit, but he's a top bloke. Top bloke.
Yeah. But we had some good nights with him though.
Really good nights.
Probably can't talk about.
Yeah, we really can't.
And did you meet like some real quality people on the road, like outside of Hull? Because obviously Hull's your home ground, you know everyone in Hull, but like some real top people on the roads and stuff. Because I feel like the indie scene, like I say indie, but guitar based music scene, like. You have all seemed to got each other's back more than in my genre of music. Like you do each other favours. Like it just seems like you're just all on sort of on like the same level field, the same playing field. You know what I mean? Like you all like help each other out. Like you call in favours. It's all about helping each other. Basically, I don't feel like in my scene. It's the same.
Which is a shame, surely. But in short, there is that community thing.
Well, what about
and intergenerational as well? So, like, I mean, like I'm 40. Do you know what I mean? Whereas, like Kettman and Cow, the band from Hull, are 17, and then all the bands in between. There always has been, and then in Hull, but also across the country.
Yeah,
bands like the Cribs, bands saying like Baby Shambles, Carl Barat's stuff, like mentors.
Yeah.
I mean, mentors, but then it's also a bit of fun and not so serious as well. But it does exist. But then again, it's not always like that. There's bands.
No, there's people that will literally throw you under the bus.
Oh, slag you off. There was like bands like
Art Brew.
Art Brew, because we was associated with Docherty and stuff. They called us Jumped Up Crackheads. I was like, what the hell are you on about? Just because I know him, and that's sort of. But as a rule. Yeah, it is more of a community.
We once
helping each other out.
We once played a festival in Barcelona, and we were like the first band on. It was like 2005. We'd just signed to Mercury, and we were still on. On the way up, and we were first on, and I'm playing the drums and looking across, and there's the lead singer of the Dandy Walls stood on the side of the stage watching us. Now that in itself is amazing. So we finish the show. We all go back, backstage, and there's like a backstage bar, and we all have a drink together, and we're all sat together having drinks. Now there's like journalists coming up to us, to Courtney Taylor, it's called, asking for interviews. Now the first thing he says is, if you want to interview me, you got to interview these guys.
Yeah.
And that is sort of the essence of maybe.
That's what I'm saying. That's a real.
He would not take an interview unless they'd interview us.
I love that.
And he hung out with us all day.
Yeah.
At the time, I was.
And at the time, he didn't need to, did he?
No, he was a good lad. He was a real good lad. But yeah, that day was quite funny because that day I was sat there with Courtney Taylor and all these people backstage, and I think there were probably Japanese fans came up to me and said, "Oh, we really enjoyed watching you play." And I said, "Oh, nice one. When did you last see me play?" And they went, "Supporting you too." And I went, "You think I'm the lead singer of Keane, don't you?" Like that.
and I've never let him forget it, ever. Since that day, I've never let him ever forget that.
Yeah, I'm not the lead singer of Keane, but nice to meet you.
I love that. You've got so many stories, lads, man. So many stories. And honestly, I could chat to you all day. I've got a few more. So, like, I mean, your achievements are sick. Do you know what I mean? Like, 2 top 40 tracks, 2 top 50 tracks. Like,
we do 2 top 40s, 3 top 50s,
okay,
7 top 60s.
Okay.
It gets.
No, but come on, preach. I love it, man.
Dilute it, but it still sounds good.
It sounds brilliant, man. Like, I'm aiming for that success myself.
Well, it's when the charts used to be the charts.
Yeah, it's all streaming and TikTok dances and that now, like, basically. But what I'm trying to say is, like, all that success, chart success, touring, like, did the success make you happy though?
Yeah, it made me happy. In fact, because you create your own universe with your band, and it's like you're all in your own world, and then you go on this journey. Because that's what it was. We was kids.
It was a whirlwind.
Yeah, we did it.
21 years old. It was a tornado. That's what.
So and when you're going through all them and them experiences, just first time I got on an aeroplane since I was 6 was to fly to Japan to do a gig. So do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yes, really happy. It got a bit intense at points because you work with each other.
Yeah.
And you're not looking after yourselves, and people fall out, and band members leave. But
you're not being looked after.
At points, band members leave, and then you fall out, and it got. But what I mean, and it ended. But but as a rule, it was amazing. What I do really appreciate is being able to do it still every couple of years, get back together and play. And because it's for us that.
Yeah.
And it just so happens some people want to come and watch us play.
Yeah.
In Glasgow they came, in Middlesbrough they came, the whole they came to watch us in London. But as a rule, Ace then, absolutely the best times of my life. Points of it where I was like, hang on, my head's going, but we got there. And now we can still do it without losing our heads, basically.
So what made you come back though?
Because do you know what? We started talking about it a little bit, and I
think post-COVID, people started talking about
this time. You mean
this time?
Post-COVID. I'm going to say post-COVID because
post-COVID, it turns out when gigs started happening, a couple of messages on the social media. Are you going to do something? And I think we all felt that after being locked up and locked down, if there's still a need, let's do it.
And we do it for us. It just so happens that people come watch us.
Do you have a booking agent?
No.
Me. Yeah.
You.
Just you.
Of course it's me.
We used to have all that crap. Do you know what I mean? We used to have all that. We used to booking agents.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, we had a lawyer. What the fuck do we need a lawyer for? But we had him.
Press officer.
Now we just do. It's a bit more organic because we've made relationships over the years and whatnot, so you can still do stuff. Do you know what I mean? And I think it'll probably stay that way. Do you know what I mean?
I think we're looking at October. I think we're going to maybe do another tour. We've got some new music.
Can we expect?
Do you know what? The weird thing is, so when we came back because of COVID, and we did them, we were supposed to do some shows in December. They ended up getting cancelled for one reason or another. But in the 5 months for the rescheduled shows, we managed to sort of keep together, and some sort of new music's come out, which is
starting about 7 songs.
Yeah.
So you might get an album soon.
Yeah,
you are going to get an album.
I was going to say we're going to get an album.
I think so. You'll certainly get an EP.
Yeah. And how will you distribute that?
I don't know.
Walton Street car boot.
Yeah, car boot on the website.
Walton Street.
You can sell CDs again now. So
No, well, to be fair, we're chatting, we're doing a bit of work with Stu Baxter. He's giving us some advice and guidance. Tom Atkin, the singer's just done it himself for some solo stuff. So, like I said, I don't know.
Yeah.
But they'll know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we don't want to just put it on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
We want to actually do something with it. Not to make an impact as in to let's quit my job, because that's never going to happen. But it's more like we want to make sure we can get as many people as we can because, like I said, we do it for us, but when we do these gigs, people still care.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure they'll be interested to hear some music.
What's the audience like now at your shows?
It's right funny, this
It's
one.
a strange one, isn't it?
We did this gig in Scotland 2-3 weeks ago. There's all these blokes on the front row. And it was like, I don't know, 250 people at this gig. And the front row was Scottish men who was clearly 20 years old when they came to watch us first time round, who were in their mid-30s with the tops off, crying, but being aggressive. And we weren't sure if he was going to kiss us or give us an elbow.
Taps off. Yeah.
But there was like, so there's that. And then in the same breath, when we played Adelphi, there was all the older heads who were like my age, Grant's age, but then there's all these younger kids.
There is definitely an essence of 16-year-old kids, 18-year-old kids
Who found it somehow.
Who found it, and so yeah, I guess it sort of transcends generations, but mostly it's big fat dudes with no tops on, and I love it.
Honestly, lads, absolute fucking legends, man. Like proper.
Thank you on yourself, man.
Norfolk legends. Proud to be from the estate you two are both from. So I've got one more question. It's a bit of a deep one. What would you say to the younger versions of you now if you could have a chat to them?
I'd say when you was thinking about being a Morris dancer and you said no, do it.
And I'd say, let him be a Morris dancer, and I'll crack on.
Legend. Round of applause, please.
Oh, thanks everybody.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it.